Yes, people, this is the next segment of the breakdown show with myself, BillyTheGoat. Obviously, I just played you Fredo Day 100. Probably his big, not probably, definitely his biggest song so far. The song that put him on the map. And the reason I played your Fredo song is because Fredo's been making a lot of headlines recently, especially in the scene of music. Usually, sometimes when you see Fredo in headlines, it's like for a lot of controversial things that have nothing to do with music. But recently, he's been making headlines for the right reason. And what I want to highlight is the fact that he's recently announced his new album, Money Can't Buy Happiness. And for me, the way that he's kind of promoted it and the way he's carried himself during his albums kind of showed how hard the past 2020 has been for Fredo. And it's like the fact he titled that Money Can't Buy Happiness definitely highlights how he himself, who we all know, we always see him flexing, we hear him rapping about money, and he's still talking about going through certain things like mental health and this and that. So I definitely think it's important for rappers in that position to spread a message about how everyone's always chasing money, but when you do get that money, it's never really as satisfying as you think it's going to be. But one thing I do say about his album, I do think anticipation for his album is the highest it's ever been, just because we ain't heard from Fredo since the beginning, like this time last year. And when he was this time last year, he was dropping a lot of commercial songs, dropping a lot of songs that didn't really, his core fan base wasn't really rocking with. So I definitely think it's important he comes back and feeds the streets with some real rap. If you listen to like his Daily Duppies, What Can I Say freestyle, even his recent tune that was produced by Dave, you can tell that he's coming back with things to say. He's not trying to do the charting mainstream thing anymore. He's really trying to give us some substance now, which is something that we've not heard from Fredo in a long time. And I think that's important, man, because obviously we've all gone through a mad thing in 2020 so far. So I do think it's important to just make music that everyone can relate to and everyone knows. It's not everyday flexing music, it's not everyday charting, because realistically we're not going to be performing, Fredo's not going to be performing live shows for a long time due to COVID, so it's only right that he makes a song that people can listen to in the yard and we can relate to. And one thing I wanted to touch on was the features, because he's not released a track list yet, and that's because of a lot of discussion on Twitter. I tweeted myself and I asked people what they think the track list was going to be, and I had a lot of noise about Pop Smoke, A Boogie, Lowski, these kind of people. A lot of people think these are the people that's going to be featured on Fredo's album, and I agree. He's confirmed he's got a song with people like Pop Smoke and A Boogies, but for me personally, like I said, I think this album's going to be more of a substantial album, more real rap, because we know what he's been through. He's lost a couple of his brethren, so I definitely think this he said himself he's sitting on 2 projects, so I do think this one's going to be more of a deep emotional rap one, and then the second one he might drop maybe around summertime. That's going to be the one with maybe the Pop Smokes, the Lowski, the A Boogies. But one thing that I will say is I remember seeing a picture of Fredo with scraps and nines, so 100%. I definitely think that's my biggest prediction. I definitely think we might hear scraps or nines, or maybe even both on Fredo's new album. And also the fact that he's been working very closely with Dave, that Dave produced the beat and Dave also mixed and mastered both of his projects. I think it would be rude if we didn't see Dave on one of the projects, or maybe even both of the projects. I definitely think, because every time Dave and Fredo link up, obviously you're hearing this song right now, Funky Friday. Every time Dave and Fredo have linked up, it's been a mad thing. Even the song on Fredo's album, where it was a bit of a deep emotional one, and Funky Friday was a bit of a party banger, the first ever UK song to go #1. So that just shows that every time Dave and Fredo link up, they make something special, and they're a very versatile duo. But I do think that's a lot of credit to Dave, because he works well with everyone. We've heard him with Gigs, Nines, DBE, Mo Stack, J Hus, everyone. He makes a good. It's when you're a talented guy, I think there's not much they can't do, and especially in terms of production. We know that they produced this song on this song that Fredo just released, and I think that caused a lot of drama. Not drama, but it definitely got a lot of attraction on social media, because I don't think since Skepta, I don't think there's a lot of, and maybe Dot Rotten, but Dot Rotten ain't as big as Dave. Like, Dave is a superstar mainstream rapper, and he's producing beats for his brethren, and that's something that we don't see a lot. That showed that he's really humbled himself to take on new exciting opportunities and to learn new skills, because a lot of rappers get in Dave's position and they get a bit comfortable. They don't really want to try new things, but with Dave, he's not afraid to produce beats for people like that. And obviously it's a big risk for a rapper like Dave to be doing things like this, because if it wasn't a good beat, he would have got a lot of stick and it could have affected his career indirectly. But I think the fact that it was such an emotional beat, it wasn't a mad complex beat, but it done the job that he needed for Fredo. So that's why I think Dave is getting a lot of attraction. But one thing that I will say, to play devil's advocate, I think the treatment and praise Dave was getting for producing that beat, I think we need to keep that same energy for all producers, regardless of how big they are, regardless how good of a rapper they are. I think all producers deserve the flowers, and all producers deserve to be getting praise and treatment every time they make a good beat, not just because they're a big rapper, they're your favorite rapper. But nevertheless, big up Dave each and every time. So if you're not already, make sure you tune in on Periscope, on Pyrado's Twitter, and let me know what you think about the topics we're discussing, because we're going to go into a bit of a hot topic of the week. And yeah, what I wanted to discuss is, I want to know where Fredo ranks in you lots, maybe top 5, top 10. Where do you lot see Fredo in the UK? Do you think he's in the top 5, top 10? I want to know where you lot think Fredo ranks, because for me personally, whenever I have discussions about UK music, about the top tier rappers, the Champions League rappers, and then whenever someone mentions Fredo's name, it's kind of like, it's a mixed reception. A lot of people don't see him in the same light as like a Dave or a J Huss or in that echelon. But for me, I've always been a massive fan of Fredo, and I think bar for bar, in terms of delivery and cadence and rhyming pattern, I don't think there's a lot of man that's better than Fredo. So I've always considered Fredo, maybe not top 5, but I definitely think he's in that elite bracket. And what people always say is that he's never really had like a timeless body of work or something like that, and I agree with that. I don't think for me personally, Third Avenue was an album that I listened to a lot, but I do understand why people say it's not really that timeless and it's not gonna pass the test of time, because it don't really have like a timeless hit single that's attached to it. So I understand where people are coming from, but for me personally, I definitely think Fredo, I wouldn't say he's underrated, because everyone rates Fredo, but I would say he's a bit overlooked when it comes to mentioning who the best in the UK is, or lyricism or these kind of things, because I think Fredo's a guy that deserves more respect in his name. People just kind of see him as like a mainstream guy that makes a lot of bangers, but if you pay attention to a lot of his freestyles, like his Find the Booth, Tiffany Carver freestyle, even his Daily Doppy, he's a guy that he knows how to rap, he knows how to tell a story, he knows how to make a club banger, he can do features. There's not much Fredo can't do. He's got a lot of versatility. Even the song you're about to hear in the background now, County Lines with Frosty, he can do. I've heard him on Afro Swing, I've heard him on Bashment, I've heard him on Drill, I've heard him on Rap, I've heard him on Pop. There's nothing Fredo can't really do. So I definitely think in terms of flexibility, versatility and lyrical ability, Fredo has to be considered one of the top artists in the UK. I wouldn't say top 5, because for me personally, my top 5, I would say Nines, J Huss, Potter Payper. Actually, Fredo might actually be top 5, you know, because I was gonna say Heady 1, but me personally, I think I listen to more Fredo than Heady 1, so I definitely would put Fredo in my top 5 actually. But I want everyone to comment down below on Pyrado's Twitter where you'd put Fredo in your top 5, or even if he's in your top 5, or if he's in your top 10, top 20, where do you put Fredo? And do you think that do you think Third Avenue is a timeless project as well? Because I understand why people say it's not, but me personally, I don't really get bored of that album. I think it's skipless as well. I don't think it's got any bad songs on there, and I definitely think Fredo's a guy that he's still got a lot more to come. We know he burst onto the scene in 2016 with a few bangers, Day Ain't 100, Like That, Change, and then he dropped the Tables Turn EP, and he kind of made his name through that. But ever since then, people were kind of like just taking him for granted. But for me, I think Fredo's definitely going to prove a lot of people wrong in 2021, because he's got 2 projects coming this year. The one, Money Can't Buy Happiness, in January 2021, and I'm sure he's going to have another one later this year. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of big features on there as well, man. So obviously big up Fredo each and every time, and just enjoy the rest of the song and take in Fredo's verse as well.
Trust me, they ain't no